friends, you're here with me, Jen the Taxidermy Witch, and we are reading out of Old Style Conjure by Star Casas. So sit down with me, grab a cup of tea, and learn about Conjure, Hoodoo, Rootwork, and folk magic. So in this episode of our series on Conjure, basically we're reading through the whole book, you guys. I want to be able to share everything about it with you. It's all so fantastically interesting and beautifully put together. She did such a beautiful job. So, this section we're talking about Conjure Waters. And there's one thing I think everybody should know about Conjure, is that it involves the Bible. And if you take the Bible out of Conjure, then it is definitely still working. It's just not the Conjure working. And in every single video I explain that. So let's talk about the Conjure Waters. In Conjure, water is a strong part of the works. I'm not talking about pre-made waters that are bottled and sold in stores. These waters are collected by the worker and made into washes and baths as needed, or added to a work when it is called for. A lot of new workers are not taught to work with the natural waters that are everywhere in nature. The elders didn't have time, or more important, the money to spend on store-bought waters. They didn't even have running water in their homes. They had to tote water from well into the home. Even in my lifetime, I have had to prime the well in order to get water to bring into the house for cooking. Into the 70s, some rural areas in the deep south didn't have running water and were still having to use slop jars and outhouses. There's places like this still in very rural parts of Canada, like Nova Scotia area. And I know I have a lot of viewers in Canada. You guys can attune for this. Have you ever heard the story of South Mountain? There's a book called On South Mountain, and it's the scariest book I've ever read in my whole life. It's true crime. Alright, so that just fell into that because we were talking about even into current times, or even the 70s, some parts of the deep south didn't have running water, and we're still having to use slop jars and outhouses. I'm guessing a slop jar is something you kept in the house and then dumped outside, like a bucket or a jar. Yes, you need to study the past to understand how the work came about. Most folks nowadays can't even get their minds around the way it used to be in the rural South, and that's true. If I can get to a place where I stop filming at night, I'm just going to go by candlelight and daylight, and then use candles after the sun goes down. Because it can really attune your body with the earth. All these electronics and things take our body away from attunement. I've written about these waters before in other books, but I'm going to go into more detail here. This is a big part of the work that I feel is being lost, as folks who don't know how to work with the natural waters are leaving it out of teachings and filling the void with store-bought waters. This is very important that this work not be lost or whitewashed with ingredients that the ancestors had no way of getting, much less working with. So when I tell you to change things up, in Conjure, let's not do that so much. We really need to stick with the root ways, the root ingredients, and the core workings. Let's respect that that's how they want it done, There might be ways you can switch it up. I'll comment on that after we're done reading the book. How about that? Okay, now we're talking about the first water. They seem to be in alphabetical order. First water is blue water. I have no idea what this is. Blue water is made by adding bluing, also known as laundry blue, to river water. What is laundry blue? What is bluing? Do you guys know? Please send me an Amazon link to where I can get it if you do know. Please, and we'll start working with it in our workings. I apologize. You petition the spirits of the river to help you see what you need to see when you are doing the divination. Blue water is also good for protection washes and sprinkles or to dip herbs in during cleansings to be brushed down on the client or whoever you're doing a cleansing on. I don't know what herbs we use in Conjure, but my first instinct was a mugwort, you know. Okay, so fresh waters can also be worked with in the same manner. Fresh waters are well water, which, as you guys know, I keep jugs of in my house. Spring water, rainwater, and creek water. They are also used in spirit workings and also to refresh the spirit of one's work. And by the way, it rained yesterday and I got loads of rainwater. Now this is not drinkable rainwater, it's magic rainwater. It's got dirt in it, it's even got a spider in one. But that is a lot of rainwater. These jars are great because they have the measurement of cups on the side. I got 5 cups of rainwater. And I don't know, Seattle used to be tons of rain, but anymore, you guys, we don't get a lot. So I had like 7 bowls out there catching water. 7, of course. Number of alchemy. Okay, bring it back in. Chamberlae is our next water we're going to talk about. I know there are some workers who like to use their own urine in works. My issue is that urine sours when it is closed up. So what happens when the urine in the work goes bad? I would think that whatever work had been done would also go bad. I mean, my common sense tells me that this would happen. I do understand the concept of it, but I don't think it was meant to be closed up. The idea is just like an animal mark their spot. One's own urine can be worked with to nail down a property and such. Like our witch's bottle video that I made. In this instance, I do believe it would work and work well, but I don't advise anyone to lock their urine up in a bottle or jar. Let me say this. I've heard about witches' bottles containing the witch's urine for protection. So interesting, because I have been saying let's do one. I haven't done one yet. Someone in a class I gave once pointed this out to me. This is what I said, and I stand by it. I can only speak from a conjurer's point of view. I am not saying it is wrong, only that it is not conjure work, so that's all I know. But let's think about that. We're locking up something that came out of us. Just try and break it down and see what it means to you personally, and I would love to hear your comments, okay? And if you guys have ever made a witch's bottle yourself, please let me know. The next water we're going to talk about is dishwater. If there's a lot of arguing in our home, my mama would work the dishwater to bring peace, and that is totally true. As an empath, for me, whenever somebody, even when I was a little kid, and even till now, today, whenever there's arguing in the home, which is minimal today, but a lot when I was a child, and even as an adult when I lived with my brother, like him and his wife would just, I would just start cleaning, like instinctually, just try to do something to make them happy, like, you know, and try to be in the best, like, light I could for them to, like, not yell at me, you know. So I just wanted to say that. Work with the dishwater to bring peace. So dishwater is worked with for a peaceful home. If there is fussing and fighting in the home, then after if there's fussing and fighting in the home, then after supper, wash the dishes in a dishpan and throw the water out the front door of the home. Next water is holy water. Water that has been blessed by the church can be worked with protection, healings, and adding power to your conjure work. Some workers make their own holy water, but I am sure it holds the same power as the water made in the church. If we believe the power of the places, most Catholic churches will let you get holy water if you ask for it, and that's actually absolutely true. The Catholic church that I've attended in the past and in my, growing ups that I've been to, they don't mind if you actually have a little bottle to take home, because a lot of Catholics have a little porcelain dish that they nailed by the front door, and when they come in and when they leave, they dip their hand in the holy water, and then they bless themselves like this, and they cross themselves. And it's totally makes sense, you know. It's kind of the same type of stuff we're doing, but just in their own religion, you know. A lot of candle burning in Catholicism. A lot of spiritual semblance there too. Interesting religion, you know. Okay, next water is hurricane water. Hurricane water is exactly that. Water that was collected during a hurricane. It is worked with to stir things up, just like a hurricane. This type of water can be worked with to stir up an enemy's life or to turn their world upside down. Powerful stuff. When working with this type of water, please remember that justification is the key. You have to justify your workings, and that was the word I was getting tripped up in the last video at the end. You have to justify your workings. There's a bee outside my window, a really big one, and it's like, brrr, funny. Okay, where are we at? Justify your workings. Justification is the key. If you throw at someone just because you don't like them, that work can be reversed if they know what they're doing. Just a bit of a warning. So if you don't have justification, then it can be thrown back at you if they know the workings, right? If you do have justification, what we read before is it cannot be thrown back at you. Okay, river water. Water from a river can be used for all types of removal work. You do the work and then you throw the work in the river. Where the current you do the work and then you throw it in the river, where the current takes the issue away from you as the tides go out. This is a simple but powerful way to remove something or someone from your life. Stagnated water. The next one is stagnated water. This is any type of water that is not moving. Stagnant. So in nature, in the home, at work. Any type of water that is not moving. It can be found in the swamps, ponds, and also stumps. Tree stump stagnant water. I want some of that. It is worked with... Oh, by the way, I found a tree stump in nature, but it's like right by the side of a main road. So, I mean, I don't know. I could do it late at night, but it's in a main park, and there's a tree stump. It's not illegal to do witchcraft, you know? It's just creepy for other folks that don't know what, you know, it really is. Okay. But it might be a really good way to meet people. It is worked with when you are trying to stop the target or if the work is being done for bindings, confusion, crossing, and enemy work. After this type of work, you need to do some cleansing work to make sure you don't have any residue on you. Stump water can be used in the same way, only stump water and the spirits of the tree can also help with all manner of the healing works, and that's exactly what I was saying. And stumps have roots directly into, let's say this is the stump and this is the earth, roots down into our planet, the earth. So if you want to do some grounding work, you want to do some special stuff, dark work, I think, being connected to the core would be really good too. Use your intuition and see what you think, you know. The next thing we're on to... Oh no, never mind. I need a new candle. Storm water. No, are we done with stagnated water? Yes. Storm water is next. This type of water is worked with to stir things up, just like a storm does. It works great when things have been building and come to a head. Lightning water is worked with in the same way, and it is also used for crossing work, healing, and stirring things up. Be careful because you might heat up the work too much. So if you're working with storm water, and I would think then, of course, hurricane water as well, a little bit goes a long way, y'all. A little bit. Violet, what do you think about that? Because you would know. Violet Thames, check out her channel. She's one of my sister collabs, and my collab sisters, and she does tons with bones, taxidermy. She teaches me so much, and she also just went through that big giant storm that everybody was talking about. What was the name of it? I'm sorry that I don't remember. Okay, the next water is tar water. Tar water is used for protection and uncrossing as well as the reverse. Back in the day, it was easy to get tar because tar was used to pave roads and the workers would share a little with you. Nice. Maybe you could just ask for some. Why not? Today it's hard to find, but you can get Creolina, Creolina, which is a commercial brand sold in some old feed stores. Creolina is made with a base of coal tar, and sold as a deodorant cleanser for the home. It can be used to spiritually clean the inside of the house or the home, the inside or the outside of the house. I have written about this before, but I think it's important to share again as the old ways are being lost. Please, you guys, if you start doing this, help us, the ancestors, me, anybody who's practicing it, but especially the ancestors, help us all keep it alive and the way that it's meant to be, okay? It means a lot to me, and it means a lot to the respect aspect of even practicing conjure and hoodoo and rootwork and folk magic. Okay, old ways are being lost because that's sad. You need to be careful with Creolina because it will burn you if you get it on your skin, but it works. Just a capful in a mop bucket or in a tiny spray bottle can be used to cleanse the house. If you mop your house, make sure you clean the corners. Once you have mopped the whole house, take the leftover mop water and pour it at the end of your walkway in a straight line. This will pull a straight line of protection across your walkway. If anything or anyone tries to cause you issues, they have to cross that spiritual line. Creolina mixed with a little holy water and salt can offer an added protection to your yard. Make a bucket up and dress the four corners of the yard and around the house. Creolina will also kill any tricks that have been thrown in your yard. You can also wash your door, stoop, and sidewalk down once a week to bring in blessings. Make sure you only work with it in a water base. Interesting information. I'm excited to work with some of these new things. Like I say, once I get through this book, through the next book I have on Conjure, I'm really going to start collecting things for it. I've already started collecting some things for my altar, and excited. The next water I'm excited about, you guys, toilet water. Because if you're going to do any dark workings, toilet water or flushing down something down the toilet is so flippin' powerful, especially if you have their hair or nail clippings. You can put it into something that you can flush down the toilet. And part of them is now in the sewer, you know what I'm saying? And that's connected to them as a living person at the moment. So, yeah. Really excited about these toilet workings. Okay, toilet water. This is good for all types of work where you are trying... I'm just trying to be completely straight up and honest. I know it sounds gross, but look around. I have a wolf head on my wall. You know, there's a duck above me. You know, whatever. Right. Toilet water is good for all types of work when you are trying to remove someone or something from your life because you just flush them away from you. It is also good for enemy work when a heavy hand is needed for justice. Excellent. All right, so the next and last one is called War Water. And then after waters, we're going to be talking about dirts and dusts, which that chapter is going to include things like peaceful homework, basic tea light setup, all the different dirts and dusts like bank dirt, church dirt, courthouse dirt, crossroads dirt, dirt dauber nest, which I was like, what is that? Guess what? We get to find out what it finally is. I should tell you in this video. Dirt dauber nest worked with in all domination work, but the dust is also good for enemy work. It adds extra powers to the work. And then it will probably also explain how I get it. Dirt dauber. Nope. So, still curious on that, but let's finish up the waters. Tar water. No. War water. War water is a work War Water is a work that was thrown against an enemy's door. In this day and age, if you tried it, you might go to jail. Do not do it. Just know that this is part of a working that has been done. And I don't suggest you do it if you could go to jail. Guys, don't do anything that is illegal. Alright. As times change, we must adapt to these changes. War Water is used in a campaign to start a war against another person. Today, that would definitely not be a very good idea, but you can use the same technique, just in a different way. I understand the reasoning of busting the jar against the door. Glass cuts. Not only that, but there's a violent element to throwing the glass at that person's door. But it is in the ingredients in the water that make the water work. Instead of busting a jar, you can use the War Water as a sprinkle by laying a trick on the person you have a conflict with. What's laying a trick? We got to figure out what laying a trick is. So if anyone could help me with that, that'd be great. To the storm water, you need to add some rusted nails, some broken glass, rose thorns because they prick and make you bleed. Oh, I got loads of those. I also have thistles for that. Needles and dirt where 3 dogs had a fight in the yard. I know 2 dogs in the neighborhood. I guess I could borrow another dog. Make them have a fight over something. I don't know. That's insane. How do you get these things? Okay, you also need to get some dirt or a rock from the target's yard or driveway. That's easy. While you have the War Water setting up, you need to go daily and shake the container while you pray your prayer and petition over the container. You need to go at least 3 times a day and work the jar. Making your petition and prayer for the purpose of the water. Remember this war oil that we made, you guys? With this big, giant deer jawbone in it? Inspired by Lady Grave Dancer, but I'm just saying, you can make this oil and you could put it on a candle and do some candle magics to really amp up a working, and I'm just adding that in there. Okay, so well, you need to go at least 3 times a day and work the jar, making your petition and prayer for the purpose of the water. Let the water sit until it becomes stagnant. Then it is ready for you to drop somewhere. The target will get in the way by walking through it. So sprinkling it over their doormat, perfect spot. Sprinkling it if you were out and about and you saw their car or knew where they worked, you could sprinkle it right in front of the driver's side and or the passenger side, because who knows, they might have a drink and then their spouse has to drive them home. So sprinkle it over both sides of the doors, but like, you know, they're going to be getting into that car. They just have to pass over it, right? If they come bug you every day, you could put it on your front doorstep and have them pass over it, but I wouldn't really suggest that because, you know, it's you, it's connected to you. So, alright, so I'll just say it again. Let the water sit until it becomes stagnant, and then it is ready for you to drop somewhere. The target will get in it by walking through it. You can adapt anything to make it work without changing the meaning of the work. And I think what it means by that is if you don't have one of the ingredients, it's okay, you can make it work. And maybe adapt it a bit, which might mean change it a bit, but the meaning needs to be the same. That's what it says. You can adapt anything to make it work without changing the meaning of the work. That's just, I don't know. Take that as you will. I don't know how to process that one. Don't you get yourself in trouble by trying to follow an old way of doing things when you can just do the work a little differently and have the same effect. Make sure that you take a cleansing bath after dropping the water for the target. You don't want to cross your own self up. So when I said put it at your house, no. Always be mindful. Okay, that is the end of the Conjuring Waters. Be really careful with that war water, y'all. And come back for Dirts and Dust. We're here reading out of Old Style Conjure by Stark Sauce. Seriously, one of my probably top 10 or 15 favorite books on my bookshelf at the moment. So, thanks for joining me here, and we'll see you back. Jen, the Taxidermy Witch, talking about Conjure, Hoodoo, Rootwork, and folk magic.